Do you want to learn how to create a purchase order? How do you modify a purchase order? How do you view it? Come here, I'll explain it to you. There isn't much to explain conceptually about these transactions. As you can see, M21N is for creating, 22 for modifying, and 23 for viewing. All right, here are the concepts. They're in English and in Spanish. Therefore, if you need these slides, please let me know and I'll be happy to send them to you. M21, I repeat, is for creating purchase orders. 22 is for modifying and 23 is for viewing. All right, let's go straight to the SAP system. We're going to create a purchase order with M21N. Here we have the body of the purchase order. See, here it's divided into three parts. There's the header, all right, the middle section, and the specific details for each individual item, okay? To enter the supplier, we're going to look it up. We open the match code and we're going to delete this value 500 that appears by default. It's always a good idea to delete it. And all we have to do is enter here the supplier that's already created in the system. Let's look it up. Asterisk. In this case, I've already checked it. Let's search for this supplier. Here you can see it. This is the supplier. That's how it's set up in the SAP system. All right, with this number, we click, press enter, and now the supplier is created in the purchase order. Now, these are the basic details you need to fill in. The organization, what organization do we have? Enter the one you have in your company. Purchasing group, your purchasing group, for example, is 000 in this case. And here we're going to enter the company code 1000. That depends on how you have these set up. These concepts, the purchasing group, the organization in your systems, every system is different. This is just an example to show you this purchase order. All right, now what we're going to do is generate a purchase order for a material. We're going to enter the material that we need to purchase. In this case, we're going to enter material 2849, which has already been previously created in SAP. Do you remember? Let's open a window. For example, MM60. You search for the list of all cataloged materials, and we're going to look for that material 2849 to execute. And here, indeed, is the newly created material. If you so desire, you can thoroughly check the very last modification that was made to see if there was a specific purchasing group involved, and the prominent green indicator here clearly tells you that it was originally created by this particular person. The final and most recent change made to this record was precisely on December 15th in the year 2019. So, as you know, before generating the purchase order, obviously the material has to be cataloged, it has to be entered in SAP, otherwise you can't make the purchase. The same goes for the supplier. If the supplier is not created in our system, you cannot make a purchase with that supplier. Is that clear? All right, here we are going to enter this material. We are going to buy, for example, 1 unit. The unit of measure is already in meters. Why? Because it was set when this material was created earlier. The price is 120 euros. Here you can see the currency. Delivery date. When do you need this material? For example, just as a scenario, October 21st, let's say, 2024. This means that we are going to generate the purchase order, send it to the supplier, and we want them to deliver this material by October 29th. Obviously, you need to know what the delivery time is for that supplier. I imagine that if you set the date as the 21st, the creation is on October 27th, and you want the supplier to deliver it in 2 days, that means the supplier has it in stock. You have already spoken with the supplier beforehand. All right. That's why in another tutorial, we will discuss in detail the topic of delivery time justifications, strategic purchasing, and why you make this purchase. All right, that's another topic. First, I want you to know how to create a material. How to create a material. How to create a purchase order, how to modify it, and how to view it. All right, let's enter the plan. The plan for this material is 1000. Press enter. And as you can see, there are no issues, no red lights, which means everything is okay. All right, for example, in this particular case, we can easily enter the specific payment terms. With this particular supplier, you have agreed, for example, to certain conditions. Let's consider, for example, that you had previously agreed to this arrangement beforehand in exactly 14 days with a generous 3% cash discount by simply pressing the enter key. See, and now we've entered the payment terms. Obviously, the payment terms are also agreed upon before generating the purchase order. You need to know that. What the agreement was, or if you have a contract with this supplier. All right. What else? We're going to buy this material, 1 meter. Here is the unit of measure meter with delivery on October 29th in 2 days. This is the unit price, 120 euros. The material group is already created in SAP. That's why it's grayed out. You only had to enter the plant and there's nothing else to do in this purchase order. Detail the material. If you want, you can look and play around with each of these tabs, these concepts. All right, but in this case, in this tutorial, I want you to understand how to create a purchase order. Okay, here you can enter, for example, the text. You can enter a text here that the supplier will see. All right. Conditions. Whenever you are creating a new purchase order, please always carefully check and thoroughly verify all the details. The conditions. This is exactly the total purchase order. We're going to generate a purchase order for 120 euros. That's fine. So you check it before saving. And why do you check it? Because you want to see if what you entered here in the description below is correct. Yes, it's correct. The quantity matches, the unit is in meters, and each meter of cable costs 120 euros. All right, that's it. So the only thing you have to do is save. Save means to record, and here you have the purchase order generated. In SAP, purchase orders always start with the number 4 or 5.